Painkiller was a refreshing old-school style shooter with slick graphics and a really nice physics engine. Now, several years later, Painkiller Overdose has been released, and shows that this standalone expansion pack has absolutely nothing new to offer. Painkiller Overdose completely ditches the demon-slaying main character from the earlier game in favor of a new one. Players take control of Belial, a half-angel, half-demon who is imprisoned in purgatory for being, well, half-angel, half-demon.
Hate. It dominates this dominion.
Naturally, he escapes and goes on an extended revenge trip to take out the ones who imprisoned him. While Belial isn't shy about sharing his feelings over the course of the game, the story is really just an excuse to put the player in as many unique locations as possible. Painkiller Overdose nearly mimics the design of the original Painkiller. For most of the game's 16 or so levels, you'll be set upon by the most bizarre menagerie of creatures imaginable, and you'll be blowing each one of them away with an arsenal of funky weapons, each of which has a secondary and sometimes tertiary firing mode. Any reasonably observant player will notice that most of the weapons are just remodeled versions of the weapons in the original Painkiller and the first expansion pack, with roughly the same impact on the gameplay. The Painkiller has somehow morphed into a Hell Cube, new name, same effect. Belial will also wield a demonic shotgun, a rocket launcher and chain gun combo, a toxic goo gun, and more. Nearly all of them have an identical counterpart in the original Painkiller. Belial also gets to do the soul collecting thing. Once you've accumulated 66 souls, you become a walking smart bomb for a limited amount of time. Also returning from the original game are the tarot cards, which are special powers that can be won by completing certain objectives in each level. Finally, in addition to the single-player campaign, which is fairly long for a first-person shooter, there are multiplayer modes which carry over from the original. At the time of this writing, there were no official servers available to play on. Anyone going into Painkiller Overdose expecting more of the same will come away from the game more or less satisfied. Still, there are issues that make it a little hard to accept in this day and age. For one thing, the load times are ridiculously long. This makes dying in the game all the more painful because you have to wait and wait and wait before you can start playing again. Maybe they should rename the series Time Killer. And you will die. A lot. At least at first. Overdose is not terribly well balanced. The very first level starts out simple enough with some brain-dead zombie things. But moments later, your woefully under-equipped character will be attacked by enemies bearing shields, which shrug off nearly every attack unless you time it just right. By the end of the first level, the game throws an absurd number of monsters at you. If you manage to survive that, you'll find that the difficulty swings to and fro almost randomly. Sometimes you'll get a level that's a cakewalk, followed by one that's punishing. Compounding the difficulty issue is the uncanny way enemies appear to spawn right on top of you, and the way your shots, especially with the rocket launcher, will sometimes go right through the bad guys without touching them. Otherwise, Overdose really is just par for the course. There aren't any real surprises here. There's the occasional boss battle, none of which are terribly difficult. Enemies have a variety of attacks, but even most of these appear to be recycled from Painkiller. There are brief moments of inspiration in Overdose. Although much of the first chapter is downright dreadful in terms of art direction, things pick up in Chapter 2. However, Belial is perhaps the worst main character to ever appear in a video game. He's apparently supposed to come off like a wisecracking smartass a la Duke Nukem, but he sounds more like an annoying jerk that you try to avoid at work. You know, the one that tries really hard to be funny but just isn't? Belial spouts out a series of about 5 or 6 different one-liners throughout the entire game. After 4 levels of this, you'll know 3 things for certain. Demonic souls taste like chicken.
Taste like chicken.
Belial either has a half-angel ass or a half-demon butt.
Taste like shiny half-demon butt.
And Belial is a big fan of Queen.
Another one bites the dust.
It's also very off-putting that it's tempting to turn the sound off completely.
So here is where I, Belial, sat. Millennium after millennium, tortured and teased.
Take a dated game engine and add in some dated, unrefined gameplay, and you pretty much got Painkiller Overdose in a nutshell. The original was mindlessly fun, but Overdose is just mindless.